Right, so that's recording everything. Cool. Right, so you don't need to do anything with these tutorials yet. I just want to talk to you about what Max is. So here's Charlie. He's asking this woman if she knows what Max is. Has anyone heard of Max before? Only because I've mentioned it. Well, that'll do. So Max is a piece of software that could potentially look a bit like this. And it's come from computer music. And it's named after someone called Max, who invented computer music on computers quite a long time ago. Max Matthews. This isn't Max Matthews here, this is a man called Klaus Schulze, who makes dreadful electronic music nowadays, but in the 70s he used to make really interesting electronic music. And he used these big modular analog synthesizers. Yes. And I like that sort of thing. And so the idea with it is that all of these things are discrete modules, bits of information or something that do something that you connect together with patch cords. So there's all sorts of bits and pieces connected together, and they were used to make electronic music. And now in computers people use similar sorts of things, but it's kind of less user patchable. So that's for music. This is a man called Dan Sandin. He likes wearing a safari outfit. This is a long time ago as well. This is an image processor, but it's also modular. And I had confirmation the other day that someone's going to bring a video synthesizer to the modular synth thing.
Really?
So I'm well chuffed about that, because there's not many in this country.
That's just an image one, right?
It works with sound and
that
image.
One in that picture is just an image one.
Yeah, but you'll be able to put sounds into it and control visuals with sounds. So this gentleman built a modular image processor with the same kind of construction and control ideas, where you patch all of these separate little sections of whatever it is together. This is what it kind of looks like inside these things. It's a bit hairy. You've all played with Lego, I would guess, in your lives? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so Max is a little bit like Lego, in that there's lots of little blocks of something, and as you connect them together, you start to make something that turns into a thing. Yeah, so you might have collected a bunch of different Lego bricks together and made a house out of them. With Max, you collect a bunch of different objects together, connect them all up, and then you don't build a house, but you build an image processor, or something that makes beep noises when you walk in front of the computer, or something like that. Okay, so I just like to think of it in this more playful way, and relate it to something that you might have used somewhere in your life, because it looks a bit like this. Okay, it gets more and more and more and more complicated. It doesn't have to. This is quite an older version of Max, but there's lots of things that are connected together. Yeah, you can see there's all of these rectangles with wires going in between them all. But this is editing mode. There's a performance mode, and this is something, I think it's an Autecher techno electronic music person patch. So I'll just talk about myself for a moment. I've made work for local artists, Joe and Ruth, Semiconductor, and not this, but I did something quite a long time ago that got performed in the old Gardner Arts Centre, which is still waiting to be opened as the Acker Arts Centre. And this was a real-time performance piece of software for some of their music that went along with the video, so they could play beeps and boops and clicks and clack noises on the computer. There's other things that it does, like that I've done for them, where we built something that took a video feed from this and looked at the brightness and contrast of the image, and then affected sounds that were being generated and played. So I will skip over those two slides, and I'll show you a picture of a cat with some glasses on, some wires, and a number 5, because these slides are out of date. That's quite useful, but I'm going to skip it. So that's those things. Got anything interesting to show you in there? I don't think I can be bothered at the moment. So let's have a look at it. So if we go and get these Max files, Learning Max, double click on that, got a folder called Learning Max, and there's a bunch of Max patches in there. Okay, so if you want to follow along on your computers with what I'm doing, rather than watching me, first thing we need to do, and some of you might already know this, but some of you might not, with some files on your computers, they might open in the wrong piece of software. With Macs, there's two versions of the software. There's one where you can create and edit, and there's one which is a performance version. Okay, and I don't know, you won't have used this software before. This little file might not be associated with that piece of software. So it's just important for you to select one of these files. Don't double click it, just click once on it so it's highlighted blue, and press Command and I, or go to the little cog and get info. Okay, and then I just want you to check over here that it says open with Max. If it says anything else, then that's wrong. Max runtime is wrong.
Yeah, it says Max runtime.
Okay, so change it to Max.
Max 6.0.
6.05 or 605, whatever. Yeah, that one.
Change all? Or
Yeah, and then press Change All. Okay, and that'll just make sure that every time you try and open a .maxpat file, it'll always open the proper editing version of Max, not the performance version. Okay, so change all, and then this will change all of them to only open with this. Continue. Okay, everyone all right with that?
That's a bit annoying, isn't it?
Huh?
That's a bit annoying, isn't it?
It is, but it's quite good because sometimes you download you know that Lumen thing that I brought the little dial thing in for. Once you download a Max app that someone's made, that becomes the newest version of Max on your computer, and so loads of things try and open with that, and then they don't work, so you get a little bit annoyed with it. So with Max, you can make applications, you can make pieces of software. So that's why we've called this bit that you're going to use this to make a prototype app. Okay, so it's a little bit rough and ready the way that it works, but it's a way of prototyping something. Okay, because you basically build a whole piece of software and you can save it out as a piece of software. So we'll close that little window, and then if we just double click on Max 000.maxpat, then Max will open. You used to get the picture of the cat and things like that when it opened, but you don't anymore.
Which one is that, sorry?
Not that.
Which number?
It takes a while.
000, the first one, Max 000.
What does WTF stand for, Andrew?
The flip.
Welcome to Facebook.
Welcome to Facebook. Yes, thank you.
Very good. I might write that down.
Where's the food?
Yeah, that's kind of closer to my heart.
All right, so I've made a selection of patches for you to play with and get used to. Okay, so I'm going to talk through things. It's going to be really beneficial for you if you do what I ask you to do and not start clicking on all sorts of things, because you'll get lost. Okay, so try and follow me, and when there's an opportunity to have a poke about and a play with things, then take it, but it's not yet. Okay, and if you haven't got this on your screen, you need to get this on your screen.
What good is that?
Come on, Paul, help.
WTF
You've got rid of that
I
one.
need that.
You need that one.
You made that clear, Andrew.
What? That I've made a bunch of things to help you.
That we need that one.
Yeah. All right. All right. So this. We're in Max now. This is the Max authoring environment, and mine's slightly different. So, yes, as I said, it's something that you can use to make interactive audio-visual applications for whatever, performances and installations and things like that. There's ways of connecting this sort of stuff up with iPads now as well, which is quite interesting. So we're going to aim towards making some kind of virtual iPad application. there are 3 elements to Max. Okay, so the main one is Max itself, and these objects are the general connecting things that you use to get stuff to do stuff, and you're sending messages around with these things. Okay, so here we've got a button, well, someone saying press this and a little number 1, and it's going to do some maths for you. Yeah, so who's pressed it already? And what was the answer? Amazing. Okay, so you can press that and it will do some sums for you. You can see you've got a number 1 going into a +1 box, and it does the maths for you. Fantastic. Down here, next we have MSP objects. Okay, so these are audio processing objects, and they can be combined with Max objects and the ones below. And they have a slightly different look to them. They've got this thing called a tilde in the title, and they've got different colour patch cords coming out of the bottom of them, different colour cables. Okay, if we change this, nothing's going to happen. I just wanted to show you something. Yeah, but that's a little slider in there. And then finally, you've got these jitter objects, and so these work with video. And as it says, you can combine these with Max and MSP objects, but they have a little bit more lengthy names. So you've got 3 parts to this one. The first bit is the name of the sort of object database, which is jitter, and then Qt movie. So can anyone hazard a guess as to what this might be for? JIT Qt movie? Yeah. So it's a jitter object that looks after QuickTime movies. So that's quite good. So you need to kind of think about the language that you're expected to learn to go along with this sort of thing. The next one underneath it is this JIT op, and I think that's quite cool because it's not what it is. But anyway, it's operators here, and this is something where you can get other stuff to start to have. No. No, because it's all in the software and it's mega. So that's this first one, okay? What's the next patch? So if we go and have a look at Max 001. So Max objects do stuff. These are objects. These things are blocks of code that do stuff, okay? Most of the stuff that they do is send out a bang message, which really means do that thing that you do. Do it. Okay, so you can press that, and I've made this so that it pops up with a little message saying whatever you've just sent into it. Bang. That's a button. This is a switch. That's going to send out a number. Okay, 1 or 0 when you press it. So you can switch things on or off, positive or negative. You can send messages. It sends a bang, but it also sends a word. Okay, and then there's these other sorts of things like these text buttons, and Andrew hasn't used these before, so when he was making all of this he found this and went, oh right, what's that then? Look. Cool.
They come out on your print window.
So what's happening over here, we've got a Max window, and this is where you can send stuff to. So all of these little things, alright, so press Command and M if you don't have the Max window. What you have there is a window that you can use as a kind of a check-in resource area, and it will just show you stuff that's going on if you're sending things to it. When you use this print object, when we use those blobs, the thing that's connected up to them will send loads of stuff to that, so you'll be able to see what's happening. Okay, so that's what these basic sorts of Max objects do. So what's number 2? Max patches need to be unlocked so you can edit them, and locked so that you can use them. So what we've got here that we're using is a Max patch. Yeah, this is a patch, this thing that we've been opening. Okay, and Command and E unlocks the patch, or there's this little padlock down at the bottom here. So you can lock and unlock the patch. So you can't edit it when it's locked, but when it's unlocked, then you can move stuff around and change stuff. Okay? So you need to remember to, one hand on the keyboard, one hand on the mouse. Hovering your thumb over command on the keyboard. Yeah. They all get connected, all these objects, by you, so that they do stuff. And things generally go in the top left corner over here, and then come out the bottom left. But then other things can come out of the right, and then other things can go in to the right as well at the top. So it's like a flow of data, starting up at the top and coming down through all these pipes that are these little cables that we're going to be adding to things. Okay. Also down here at the bottom, you've got a few other views of things. Okay. One that you'll want to use in a bit, but I'm not going to talk about much today, is this thing called presentation mode. If you press it now, everything disappears because nothing's been added to the presentation. So this is where you make your front end of your application prototype. And then over here, you've got a sidebar, and we can hide that a little bit there. And so this is where all your objects live. Yeah, there's an inspector. So things that you've selected, you can look at the qualities of them, you know, like you would in Dreamweaver or Flash or Photoshop, about that layer. There's references for the particular objects, and then there's another version of that max window. So if you just unlock this patch, Command and E. Why did my screen go up?
You touch the control panel and
Oh my god.
How do you unlock that window on the right?
The left one. Oh, to make that one pop out, it's just down here. There's a sidebar down at the bottom. Yeah, so if you press Command and E to unlock your patch, you'll see all of these bits of text. They're all living in boxes. Yeah, you can move them about. But when you select one of them, over on this side, if you click on the inspector, you can see the qualities of these boxes. Okay. Just for these text ones, you can turn them into bubbles with little speech things on them. You can change the colour of bits. You can change the typeface to Helvetica Bold. If it's an object that might do something like this select one, you can do stuff with that as well. You can change colours on that. Let's make that one red. Woo. Background colour. Oh, look at that. It's horrible. Okay. If you go onto the reference for it, you can see that these objects have arguments that will do stuff, okay, and messages that you can send in, which will also kind of do stuff, okay, and then it'll give you some similar objects underneath to do some other sorts of stuff, okay. Let's get rid of all of those. We don't want to see that. This one's the kind of more pleasant view at the moment. All right, so it's a good idea to keep that open so you can see different objects. There's loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of them. And you can kind of break them down by different types: max objects, MSP objects, jitter objects, all of them, user interface objects, okay? Right, so let's close that one. Don't want to save it. Number 3. Okay, so what I want you to do is unlock this patch and just try connecting some of these objects together. And what's happening is that when you go to the bottom of an object, whatever it is, don't matter, don't care what it is, you'll see that you get a circle, and if you click and drag, then you pull out this little cable, which you can then connect to something else, okay? And what you might find is that some things you can't connect to other things. Okay, so have a little go. Woohoo, look what I can do.
Just on this top one, yeah, not the second.
Yeah.
So do you have to test it? Do you have to lock it?
Yeah.